an article in Business Insider and an article in Forbes about two completely different things use the same stock photo of the front of a dealership. And neither article is really about Ford, actually, either. But that's so. Is this who we are?
Ford dealership got slammed with that one.
What is
too.
that? I'm trying to read. Does it say? I
Someone
can't
do
read
a
it.
little image upscaling for us, please.
Wow.
Well, listen, this isn't like a spy show.
This is an investigative journalism, Kyle.
Right. Welcome back, everybody, to our, can you believe it? It's our fourth consecutive Wheelhouse. And today we've got a bunch of some very spicy topics, as our friends from Montreal might say, caliente. And all right, are we doing the stock photo thing again? All right, let me take a minute just to introduce who we've got with us today, because we've got like a 50% new cast. First of all, the two guys that you already know, the only two people on Earth that could evade satellite surveillance just by taking their hats off. So Paul and Kyle Mountsier from ASOTU, thank you guys for being here. And then Patrick Abad from Beaver Toyota, Cummings, Georgia, one of probably the most successful dealerships that's in the country and one of the best GMs that's all the way around. And I have to now also wash cars and mow the grass at the dealership for, I'm not sure, unspecified amount of time. But that's what I had to offer up to get him on the show. And then joining us, Jen Suzuki, President, eDealer Solutions, also a 9-year NEDA guest instructor. Absolutely one of the best to do it in and out of stores, talking to both dealerships and customers all the time. So I think we've got a pretty good round here. I'm going to let everybody, as we traditionally start out, after some intros. And also, of course, just a quick disclaimer to say that the opinions expressed here today are those of the presenter only and not of the company or those who are employed by that company as well. Just the person who's talking. All right, 30 seconds.
Yeah, all right. Hey, we said it. Even in Jen's case,
we didn't say it was a no calorie food, but it was a low calorie food. All right,
Fair, low calorie.
Paul, 30 seconds on the clock. Start us off.
oh my gosh, I just got caught sleeping on this. Most important thing I'm thinking of in the car business, I don't know. You literally have me speechless right now.
That's
I'm
the one
inventory, strike pending, right? Like too many EVs.
Well, come on, you got something better than that.
Yeah, okay, I got a good one. It's a little bit shameless. I have 10 seconds left. We're heading into conference season. Everyone's gonna have to pick which ones they want to go to. I hope that you pick ours. ASOTU.
Yeah.
And there's still time left even after that. That's amazing job.
I'm losing points already. I can tell.
Underwhelming everyone in under 10 seconds as usual.
I feel like you're going to make me look better, though. And I thank you for that in advance.
You know, actually, that was the conversation we had. We're like, look, you really have
Jen's
to.
actually got it. She's got
lay down.
Teleprompter.
Yeah.
Kyle, be a wingman and pull him up there. 30 seconds.
Well, my 30 seconds on state of the industry thing / biggest thing that I'm thinking is the fact that everybody seems to follow everybody else into the unknown of nowhere else. And that is a plan for failure right now. And so I say chart a course and set your own, whether at the dealership or you're an industry partner or anyone. Like, stop paying attention to all the rigmarole that is the news and start seeing what your customers need and make that your course. And I bet you'll come out better for it.
All right. Okay. And I do want to just tell everybody that's new here that the show also does have points. You'll get points as you make good points, and the points matter about as much as Look to Book does to your front end gross, but we'd like to keep track of it. So we will, during the time, and we'll allocate it sort of as necessary. Patrick, are you ready? 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah. Number one, I'm honored to even be in the same square with Jen Suzuki. She's a badass. So thanks for putting me on with her. No, I think it kind of sticks with what Kyle said. The slowdown that everybody's been talking about, like right now, like that's big news. It's slow. They've been saying that shit for like 3 years now.
Facts.
But they seriously been saying that for 3 years. So even if it does happen, just put yourself in a position to where you're like not affected by that. And it doesn't actually matter how many cars are sold in the world.
See, instead of complimenting Jen, you could have gotten that point across in the first 6 seconds, but you know, we all make choices. All right. Jen Suzuki, 30 seconds, all yours.
Okay. You just gave me enough time to come up with something. But in extending that thought, even if there's a slowdown, I always feel like there's always customers in the database. And when I'm traveling in stores, especially right now, I can't get over the fact that people are not hustling the database to try to maintain the consistency of the floor traffic, maintain the consistency of the sales. There's been plenty of cars that we didn't have before that people are looking for, and now they're coming in and you're not calling them. And so I think we got to stop telling people no. That's a major epidemic. People call in, they want to know if you have it. Stop saying no.
Still playing the waiting game, right? Couldn't agree more. All right. Well, before we get into this, we're going to take some of that. We're going to see that here a little bit later in some of the topics we've got. Just a couple quick headlines that we're going to go through. First of all, and of course, since this just recently happened, Bob Barker recently passed away. And so that's sad news for millions of kids staying home from school. Also, one of the only people other than a Carvana buyer that could make a gold, no sunroof, no power locks, no power window Toyota Corolla seem like it was 20 grand and really a good thing and worth it and a nice gift. So that's pretty important. I think that, I feel for the Carvana buyers currently at the auction.
You brought me back with that. That's literally what I would watch when I was home from school when I was sick. 11 o'clock, I'm watching Price is Right. Amazing.
Every time.
That's true.
100%.
Now. Oddly with that show, there's like 2 shows, I think, running in the daytime. I don't know why I know that, but how is that show still popular? They have a daytime Prices. Or they have a nighttime Prices Right now.
I didn't know that there was an after dark one.
No, I did not either. And I think it takes away from like the Price is Right for all of us.
Absolutely. It's in the afternoon.
You
Which
like
one?
crave that sick day just to
It
watch
wasn't
the Price is
broke,
Right.
don't fix it.
You're like $14,997.
Lower.
Oh, right.
Well, and that's what they said about Mr. Barker, that he got as close as possible to 100 without actually getting there. So
You said it. You went there. You went there. Yep. That was it.
That is poetic.
but thank you for everything that you did for me when I was also home from school. All right, we're going to take a look for just a second here at Chicago. And I know you're thinking like, well, how does that matter into things? Well, TikTok and Chicago have got the mayor of Chicago thinking that the way to solve his auto theft problem in the city of Chicago, the Windy City, that's had 19,000 cars stolen already this year, is to sue Kia and Hyundai based off of some issues they're having with cars that make it not only easy to steal them, but apparently quite trendy to do that as well with some viral content. So we've seen feds investigate OEMs for recalls before. I think this is the first time we're saying that the mayor is going to solve the auto theft problem by suing the manufacturers and tell them like make better cars, or the city will sue you. And that might be just a dangerous precedent.
Cool.
Are we just jumping in on this? It's hard
Can
to
I
get
just plead the fifth on this one?
Well, this is so hard to get in, right? Like,
you
go
don't
back
have
to your original statement about like the views expressed, right? How do you get into this without somebody feeling like you're somewhat political? I will say this. You always have to talk about something. And if doors were getting kicked in, you would never sue the lock company for making a stronger lock. This is another thing that manufacturers are going to have to respond to. We've seen them respond in some I guess, really simple ways by like mailing out the club, which again, the club commercials were probably running when I was watching Price is Right in elementary school. But I mean, I think it's another thing manufacturers are going to have to deal with. And they have an opportunity, like always in a PR situation, to actually spin this in a good way for the brand. So I think opportunity is all on the manufacturer right now. What was that?
Spin it. Can you spin it? The mayor of Chicago is suing you for making cars that are too easy to steal. What's the spin?
Oh gosh, I could come up with one, but just
I
not
think
exact.
That's why
got
PR
bigger.
departments exist.
Yeah, good ones
That's
too.
literally why they exist.
And I don't know if you can be better than Chicago one because they're spinning this up to be the manufacturer's fault. So
Right. I mean, that's exactly my thing. So what is going to be out? Then what's out of bounds then? What are
Patrick, how are Toyota dealerships dealing with this?
We're not. We're not. Chicago mayor, is he bored? Like, seriously, like there's bigger fish to fry. Locks are made to keep good people out. So if it's not that, they're going to be talking about something else stupid. Like, you got bigger problems, dude. Go fix your city.
When I saw that, I was like, how do you stop dumbasses from doing dumbass shit? I mean, like, that's really, like, how is that your job to do that? Why is that your job? Anyway, but okay. The other thing is I was thinking to myself, if you have this issue, you can turn those sort of negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And all I kept thinking was when I read that was this is a great opportunity for salespeople to step up and be like, hey, we got another product to add on and we got validity to it. You need to get some low jack, some icon. Right.
Right. Because the mayor's telling, I don't know that salespeople are going to be able to really Yeah, I mean, I agree with the sort of overall approach that there's opportunity, the silver lining there, but I'm not sure what that phone call sounds like when you call somebody and say, I don't know if you heard, but the mayor's suing the manufacturer of your car.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is you should come in and buy a low jack. And I don't know that that's just a call that's easy to make, but moving on. So the two articles, and this is have we gotten this ambiguous or ubiquitous or something is in the car business that an article in Business Insider and an article in Forbes about two completely different things use the same stock photo of the front of a dealership. Wow. And neither article is really about Ford, actually, either. But that's so. Is this who we are?
Ford dealership got slammed with that one.
What is
too.
that? I'm trying to read. Does it say?
Someone do a little image upscaling for us, please.
Wow.
Well, listen, this isn't like a spy show.
This is an investigative journalism, Kyle.
Right. So that's who we are in the eyes of the media. But actually, if you reading the article itself, here was actually one thing that's interesting because they're sort of explaining to the public what's the deal with these EVs, as Paul Daly once famously quipped on this show. And what's interesting is that in the mainstream media now they're saying are manufacturers possibly so interested in EV sales that because this opens up a channel for them to have direct sales. And I know people have said we talk about direct sales here, but no. Here's the interesting thing is mainstream media is explaining to people that essentially, possibly what the good reason that they're so interested in these channels are is because it allows them direct sales to their clients. So at a dealership level, then what do you do then to make sure that your clients stay yours? And if this happens, that you're not susceptible to that?
Well, I can talk from the dealership level. I think the most important thing that we can do is come through for people when they need you. I think that doesn't happen in a direct-to-consumer model. I think, and listen, I don't want to go down that road because we've had a zillion conversations about it. But the reality is people in their time of need will always remember who was there for them and who wasn't. And that's just not in auto sales. That's just freaking in life. Like if you are there for people, like they will never give up on you. And I think when the community around you, and this is plugging ASOTU, like I love what they're doing with their More Than Cars, because when the community around you supports you and loves you, I don't worry about that. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm the guy who's going to get hit over the head. But I just think if you just create a place that people want to hang out, want to be around, and with really good people, you'll be fine. That's just my take.
Jen, how do we keep ourselves? How do we keep our clients, Jen? Even if the manufacturer says you got to talk to us to order a car.
The main problem we've seen forever, even to this day, is that we don't really put measures in a place to keep people connected to customers. They sell the car and they're gone. It's a culture. It's a culture change, where we want to nurture customers. I just had a class today and I would say, I really want to just talk about the fact that we need to communicate every quarter with these people. That's prospecting. It's keeping them in your queue, but it's also bring something to the table. Don't just be saying some stuff like I'm checking in, touching base, following up. Like you're actually contacting people with valuable reasons. Give them something of value. Remind them they have a service contract. Help them, with things. Give them links to the book car they bought and some of the tech that's on it that they may not remember how to use. Do you know what I mean? Like you got to keep bringing stuff to the table for people so that
Fred Kaczynski was one of the best salespeople I ever knew. He was I sold with him about 6 months into selling cars. Fred Kaczynski, when he called people, he actually called people. He didn't call clients. And that's the difference.
Okay.
We can train our people how to do that. It's game over.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so give me one. I'll allow it. So give me one thing then that you're going back to the store right now, and this is forefront on your mind, right? And you're telling you need to treat people like people, right? And then what's the first thing? How do you start that? What's your first step?
Yeah, I mean, I think I literally do training to get people out of business mindset, right? Like we so often when we're in, like the minute we pick up a phone off of a desk that has a business phone, we're like, oh, we're in business mode, right? But then we pick up our cell phone and call someone and we're in human person mode. And I would do interactive training to make sure that people actually interacted as humans. So Fred Kaczynski, that was the thing that he did is he picked it up. He'd say, hi, Maggie. Yeah. It's so good to hear from you. How are the kids doing? How's the husband doing? I know you guys were going out on vacation. Happy birthday. Like these real things. And he had notes on notes on notes about the people that these people were in the CRM. And I mean, it was it was religion for him. And literally Fred Kaczynski back in the days when like everybody wanted to be out on the lot to go find the person that was driving in the door. Literally, I never saw him do it once. Right. So if you could have a whole team of people doing that. Yeah.
And that's not the Unabomber, right?
No.
That was Ted Kaczynski.
Ted.
Oh,
Couple
related.
letters. I was like, why does that name sound so familiar?
Really does.
No, that was Plan B.
But it's the real talk, right? That's the real talk. That's what people want to deal with. Real people that say real things, not like you changed your whole vibe because you're at work and you think you need to be overly professional. People don't like that anymore. That's why you don't see people wearing suits anymore.
I'll tell you what, Kyle and I get to go all over the country and we always interview people in the cities we're in. We just randomly walk up to people and to a person, everyone we've walked, what did you like about your last car buying experience? We always ask where you bought it. What did you like? Everyone always says the person that they dealt with. Everyone. All the time.
Yeah.
It's
They
person.
on online reviews too. It's so validating, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so before Nathan starts yelling at me in my ear, we're going to move on to the next topic. All right, because the buzzer went off on this one a minute ago. All right, so Jim Farley gave a great interview, and I'm a little bit man crushing on that guy. I think some of the stuff he said was pretty interesting. I think he said a lot of the things that many of the things that we're thinking about. So back at Pebble Beach, or a little bit before that, they did introduce a $300,000 street legal Mustang race car that apparently won't land in ditches after Cars and Coffee, but will absolutely exhilarate everybody at the track and then is street legal after that. But what's interesting, so I've said that, like, don't go outside, don't outkick your coverage. If you don't have a $500,000 car in your lineup, don't build one now. But Ford's had $300,000 cars and up with the Ford GT and done very well with those. But what's interesting is he said, he's quoted in the article by saying, I want to make Porsche, Mercedes, and Aston Martin sweat. Because when people drive a Porsche, you become a part of society in a different way than just an automobile. And that's what I want to make people. I want to make Porsche sweat. Is it just the car? Isn't it more than just the car, Mr. Farley, with due respect?
It's way more than just the car. I mean, he loves his brand. I love him for that, but I don't see any similarities between this Mustang and a Porsche and how someone feels when they walk in the dealership.
I'm just going to call it. My man finally got around to watching Ford versus Ferrari. And he was like, we're doing it. We're doing it, guys.
That's it. Ferrari. Yeah, I just think there's so much different. Like what those cars say about the person that owns them is so different than what someone that buys a Mustang like this is looking to say about themselves.
I mean, who is seriously buying a 300? You got 300K. You're going to go get a car. You're going to get a Ford?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have a problem with that. I don't think they're going to have a problem with that.
Let's sell them all. Yeah.
The reality is, but that's a whole different. You're trying to go get a customer that's not yours. That's how I feel. Like you're really going to that Porsche customer has never looked at a Mustang. Like
never.
What you're doing by creating a $300,000 Mustang is creating something for people to dream of who are Mustang lovers. Listen, Mustang's got one of the most loyal followings on the planet, right? The people love Mustangs. Yeah. Those people who love Mustangs look at some Porsches like they're junk, right? It's just two different worlds, and I think he's trying to connect it. And I say it best when I think he's going through an identity crisis. And
it's funny too, because when the interviewer pointed out something like, in Germany, where they make the 911, that Mustangs outsell 911s.
They absolutely do.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
In Germany, not just, in general. So
it's like a huge import car. Yeah. I mean, it's like the way that we look at our import cars.
It's American muscle, right?
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do different at the store? What different service department are you going to have? What other amenities are you going to have? What other, like Patrick said, if it's not your
the biggest thing is like that customer now has to be all the way through the funnel. Like, your run of the mill Ford dealership is not managing that customer expectation.
So the next thing that they then asked him was about, because he's saying like, we're Ford, we're good at muscle cars. And they said, you ever going to electrify one? And he actually basically says that the danger is that there's a disconnect between emotion. An EV really loses the emotion, and that's the disconnect. And the interviewer said, so is that the danger? And he goes, that's the danger. So if that, and I kind of what I've seen, I kind of don't think he's wrong. So if that's the thing, and we know that that's sort of like the missing ingredient, perhaps, is the excitement. how do we bring back excitement into the my new car is an EV?
I don't know. Have you ever
Sound
been pinned-
effects.
Have you ever been pinned back in a Tesla?
It's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Yo,
Listen, most of those EVs, the ones that we see that people are buying, it's their second and third car, and they're actually buying them for fun. Like people are buying because they're intrigued about them. This and that. Now their service sucks. They can't get service. They got to ship their car 5 hours away. All that other stuff. But it's typically we've seen it as a second and third car here in Atlanta, and it's not an everyday driver, and it's fun, and it's a Porsche Taycan, and it's it's a what's that crazy fast Tesla? It's low. We sold those out of a Toyota store, right? And it's because people are having fun with them. So I don't think it's an emotional disconnect between the two. I think it's just a different emotion.
Different connect.
It's a different connect. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's just two different worlds. We're comparing apples to footballs. Like that's kind of how I feel.
Which one's the football?
The Mustang.
You
the
pick.
Mustang's the football.
Easy. Hey, wait, Dodge did it with was the Hellcat that they did it to, or was there a different model where they like put the sound effects and we were like, they should put haptics in the steering wheel and then the driver's seat. Like you could make that thing super ferocious, and then if it goes as fast as it does, you'd feel like you're on it, like literally flying like a TIE fighter. It'd be amazing. Actually, the TIE fighter sound is what you should put in it. Hear that thing screaming by?
Everybody uses sound effects in their cars now, though, right? I mean, to some degree. I mean, that's just par for the course.
Yeah, not those kind of sound effects.
No. Oh, okay.
That'd be great, though. You got it. What
Go
would be
Star
great
Wars mode?
is you got that like back in the day when we had a Nissan Leaf a long time ago. My wife called it the sneak attack vehicle, right? She was like, I love just sneaking up on people that had no clue. What if you were like just crawling along at 3 miles an hour? It was like
way better than the quiet snail that I think most people thought about it as. But there's all right. Wait, if you can a client have? Can you get the emotional relationship, that level of excitement? Can that happen between a customer and the brand, or customer and the dealership, a customer and the sales professional? If it's not happening with the customer in the car, can you still have it with the surrounding area if it's not the car at the center of it?
Absolutely.
You gotta be damn good.
Yeah.
You got to be damn good, though, right? If you don't have one, you got to be really good at the other. There's people out there who choose to buy a car from a dealer strictly based because that dealer is amazing.
Totally.
Like, if that dealer was selling vacuum cleaners in the middle of the forest, they would go find a way to go do business with them.
Yeah.
Now, there's not a lot of those, but I think there's more today than there was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So then let's kind of get to the meat of it, which we've been sort of like flirting with all around. So there's all sorts of mixed bag news about the economy, and usually we cover a little bit of it, but we're not an economy show, so we're not going to go over all of that. There's pluses, there's minuses, there's things that could lead anybody to think in any sort of a direction. The question is as enough stuff's coming out that like and a lot of us feel that there can be different areas that are slowing down. If a slowdown were to come, who's going to come out of it the winner? Dealers that XYZ. Which ones of those dealers are going to come out of it ahead, and which ones are we going to see that are going to be suffering from it?
I feel like dealers are entrepreneurs and they always figure everything out.
Yeah, but there's some that aren't.
No?
Yeah, because I mean, look at the recession. You saw a massive downturn in the number of rooftops in the U.S., right?
I think but isn't that a question of motivation more than ability?
Yeah.
But like, what's one thing, if you go back to the store right now, what's the thing what's the one thing that you can do? And don't say training without being specific.
Right.
But what's the one thing you can start doing today to prepare your staff for an eventual, like we're already seeing, like Jen said, like we have cars, but people aren't coming in at the same rate that they were. I mean, whichever part of the country you're in, to some degree, there's some degree of truth in that. And we don't think it's going to get like much perkier at the moment. So what's one thing you go back to the store and start working with your people on so they're insulated?
Well, this is just my opinion, right? And I guess go back to
what you're here for.
Yeah. Okay, good.
We'll send you with a microphone out into the street. Go praise a taxi cab with Brian later.
No.
This is what you have to do now.
But I just think you do have to create your own economy, and I think you literally could be the dealer. There's going to be everybody that's if it does slow down, if the industry slow down, there's going to be this whole big pile of dealers who are all doing the same things, right? And they're gonna there's like a book, and I think somebody should burn the book on things to do when the business slows down. I think you should burn that book, and I think you should rewrite your own. And you rewrite your own. So if everybody's pulling back in marketing gets real cheap. Why would you not buy it then, right? Yeah. Everybody stop buying cars at the auctions. That means that's when you go fill your inventory with cars you can actually buy cheap. There's actually go against the grain of what the 95% of the world is doing. Do it calculated, do it right. But in the triangle of inventory, marketing, and salespeople and process, that triangle, like if you're going to grow it, we always say you got to grow it equally, but you can't be scared to press when things are hard. And I think that's what happens because people of what's happened in the past has created their new behaviors. So I say burn the book that tells you what to do in a slowdown and go rewrite your own deal.
This is sort of what I mean by being an entrepreneur. You know, it's like you will pivot, you will adapt, you will find a way, you will change something. And the people that don't know how to change, well, those are the people that shake out. But then somebody else eats them up and then they, do better. And, those are the sales.
What's the most critical thing to change?
I just feel there's so many, but
here's what I would prioritize. Because as new car franchises, we prioritize training on two major things. One is the make that we sell and the process that we have. Yeah. And we don't prioritize training specifically on used car inventory. And so I would prioritize training on used car inventory, other make models that you typically keep in stock. You know what those are. You can look in your inventory management system to see the ones that sell best, the ones that you're probably going to stock over the next 90 days. And do specific used car training on feature sets on your inventory. Do daily, if not twice daily inventory walks. Understand, like making every single salesperson and sales employee as good, if not better, at knowing their used car inventory as the used car manager, I think is any opportunity to win because you have control over your stocking, you have control over your costs because you're always going to know what the auction costs or what your buy off the street costs can potentially be. You have control over your own turn at that point, and you have the ability to have a speed to sale because your team knows your used cars. It's just not, we typically we allow process to sell used cars and not knowledge. And I would turn that into knowledge selling used cars, similar to how knowledge would sell new cars.
And while you're in the database looking to, for those cars that that you want in inventory, and you're going after those people, you're tidying up the way that you approach people, and you're really focusing on your culture because, look, you're going to have to go after people, and you don't want to miss any opportunity. Every call that comes in, tighten up the process. Every internet lead that comes in, tighten up the process. Were you still sending templates? You know what I mean? Think about the entire process and how you come into contact with people, and then just evaluate every little thing. So then that way you're coming out with stuff that's relevant. It still kills me today when people are going back in the 70s and the 80s sales process, and it's not relevant for today right now. Today right now is totally different than a year ago today right now. You know what I mean? But it's if you don't keep evolving the processes, you've got to change. You've got to change stuff. You got to recognize that what you're saying or doing is closing doors. It's not opening doors. So if you're going to get out there in the database, start looking for cars that you're going to buy, go after these people, to put them on cars that you do have coming in, really target stuff. You better make sure that you got the right conversation, you got the right questions, you got the right hello, you got the right, value that you're bringing to the table, really tidy up all the details. I mean, that's what I would focus on because I feel 90% of the time, people just go out there and talk to customers without a game plan. They
are you modifying the role of the sales manager then to be just that person who's listening to every interaction with the client?
Well, first off, why aren't you doing that? Because this is your money. So why aren't you evaluating your process? Why aren't you listening to your process? A lot of times I'm shocked at how many times that people don't listen to the recorded calls or don't even have a call recording system. If that's where the majority of your customers are.
I would change the role of the sales manager. I think the role of the sales manager being a desk manager is a long time gone. It takes 3.5 minutes to pencil any deal with the technology that we have. Why wouldn't they spend the majority of their time on training and coaching?
Be a mentor.
How about the service department?
Coach.
Hey, let's talk about the service department.
Well, because when it comes to slowdown, right? A lot of times the sales slowdown is the first one to hit, and you're limited in what you can do. And we're talking about some of those things, but I feel like in the service department, you still have this regular flow. And I've seen some contrary, information on whether or not service is getting busier or slower. But anecdotally, as I go around, I see really busy service departments still.
Yeah,
I see people with waiting lists still. And
that's an appointment.
Well,
absolutely.
Don't confuse waiting lists with parts delays, though.
It's true. That's true. I mean, like to get an appointment.
No, and part of it's the same thing because the car's going to get it work done. You know what I mean? It's like, no, there's duality to the numbers, and I see what you're saying too. I agree. I mean, but
I do see it. But I do see it as a part of the dealership where you have the opportunity to interact with more people on a regular basis, and those interactions allow you to make good impressions, create great magical experience, harvest vehicles out of the service lane, get people in, right? And so, you know, I just feel like service in a downturn is an area of focus that gives you a lot of control over a lot of experience, time and time again. Patrick, what does throwing the book out look like really for the service department?
Retention strategies. Stop putting a dollar figure on the retention strategies and realize the long-term play that it does. You got to have a good retention strategy on keeping those customers. And it is everything from communication to freebie shit, like stuff that you give them to just keep coming back and creating an environment where people actually want to hang out. I think it's, if you create an environment in your store and service where people are okay hanging out there for just a little bit, I think they'll come more often and they won't choose the other guy because he might be a little bit cheaper.
You got to have personalized experiences. So if you know that customer was coming in, you know, we should have had a game plan to nurture that client experience while they're at your dealership. They can't just be sitting in the lounge chilling. You know what I mean? Like we should be working on that relationship.
Unless you got a freaking
I think it's going to
lounge.
I think it's going to put a big squeeze on average managers and people who think that they are supposed to be managing sales teams instead of leading sales teams and showing people how to make connections with clients. I think that this period is really going to put a big squeeze on most of that. Running just a little bit behind, but we've got just a little bit of a segment today called "It Is What It Is," and that's usually my thoughts on something. So it's and this time we're going to go back to EVs, and it is what it is with EVs. But stop telling us that they're here. We know that they're here. We're quite bloated with inventory that's aging that happens to be EVs, and we've been dealing with it for quite some time. We also have invested, most of us, several hundreds of thousands of dollars in the infrastructure here at our dealership that many of our naysayers really haven't had to do the same thing on their flesh. But we had to do that almost a year in advance before we even got one of these cars. And even heads of manufacturers and other OEMs are saying it's not likely that they are going to see a return on profit on what they've invested in EVs in the near-term future. We don't think that there's going to be just gas or ice for the rest of the universe or our time on Earth. We don't think that, but we also really haven't been presented with much evidence to show that battery electric vehicles are also going to be here to be sustainable and actually quite not sustainable to be the way to go. And we already see OEMs having to pledge not to use rare earth minerals inside their batteries. And that's already a process that they're committing to and they don't have an answer for yet. So it's not that we don't think that there needs to be some type of sustainable method to keep our planet green. We're just not 100% bought into the fact that this current strategy is going to be the one to do it. But it's not that we pretend that they're not sitting out on our lot, and it's not that we pretend that they don't exist or that they're not here. And if anything else, we just take a slight reminder and a glance at China and see what's happened to their absolute collapsed EV market after years of government subsidies and supporting OEMs there. How many OEMs have gone out of business? How many of these EVs are laying in fields everywhere throughout the country because it was an artificial market that was propped up by government subsidies? We've seen how that works, but yet we're sort of continuing down that same route. So pardon us if we just happen to be a little bit cautious. And if we aren't the most excited by a prospect of something that could be very dangerous to our business moving forward if we don't know how to handle it correctly. But it is what it is. They're EVs. All right. We're going to...
Bam! Just got him out of the side, right in the kisser right there, you know?
Just going to total up some points that I've been not keeping track of carefully here. So,
yeah,
that's absolutely. That's Paul with 1,100 points. Kyle, 1,680. Patrick, you started out with 5,400, but you sounded a little bit too much like a governor in a state south of you when you talked about burning books and creating your own economy. So unfortunately, you've been...
book burning. Patrick, hey man, let's burn some books.
Finished at a very respectable 1,508. I just wrote that down. And
so I just wrote that down.
And our winner today, and there can only be one, would happen to be Jen Suzuki with 41,000 points. Congratulations for that. And as a reward, essentially, we're gonna we're going to head over to some rapid fire questions. But actually, before that, I just wanted to, we've got a little bit of an FMK segment that we call Buy, Lease, or Wholesale. Right. So I just want to hear we're going to close out with Jen and some rapid fire questions. But I want to know from everybody, what's your buy, lease, or wholesale if it's between a stolen Kia, a $300,000 Mustang, or an unused Chinese EV?
I'll start. That's easy. I would buy the Kia so I could give it away and be generous. I would lease the $300K Mustang because I'd get tired of it very quickly. And I'd wholesale the Chinese EV because I would never have one of those in my yard.
I'll just second that.
Oh, come on.
I gotta give it
The
a
explanation was so good.
That's the answer, of course.
That was way more clever than I could have come up with. But I mean, I would be interested in that 300K car if it was just given to me because I like nice things, and it sounds like a collector. But I'm going to go with Patrick's answer.
I would buy the Mustang and hold it. I would lease the stolen Kia, insure it very well, and park it in Chicago. And then I would wholesale the Chinese EV graveyard.
I think that's more realistic. I mean, Patrick wants to have the Kia so we can give it away to somebody who obviously needs a car so they can have it stolen.
Yeah, but as long as you send it to Phoenix, Arizona, it's never
you're
getting
good.
stolen.
You're
good.
cool.
You just got to send it to Phoenix. You're good.
And
I don't know why Phoenix, just it's not Chicago.
Feels all right. It feels pretty far from Chicago.
If you're watching the graphics, we weren't trying to get you to take a whole graveyard. It was just one of those cars that's in there. But all right, Jen, are you ready for some rapid fire to close us out?
I don't know.
See, you thought you won something. The joke's on you.
Exactly how we work.
Oh,
So-
God. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to ask we're going to go through, it's going to be 20 seconds, get through as many questions as we can. All right.
What's the record,
And-
by the way?
4, I believe.
Who has that?
Are you going to ask that every week?
Yeah.
Is that the way?
Until someone gets 5.
All right, ready?
Okay. All right.
You ready? All right. What car did you get into your first accident with?
Lexus.
Okay, appraisals and exactly how you were arranged.
What the time? Can you repeat the question?
No, I can't. There's a timer on
I'm
here.
polishing my trophy over here.
Can we restart the clock? I'm sorry. This show is just, we've gone out of bounds here. And so, I have to pay by the minute for the lighting in here. Okay.
I think he was waiting for the model. I think that's what broke down. He was waiting for the Lexus.
Patrick's bonfire.
You said rapid fire, like answer the questions fast, like
thought
don't
it was-
elaborate.
I thought it was
you and you said your first accident was a Lexus. And I'm trying to picture you in an accident and then like what you.
She's like, yeah, I should have bought the Mercedes.
All right. Start that over again. All right. Ready? All right. Automatic or manual?
Okay. Oh, a manual.
All right. What's the next car model to be given a luxury edition?
The next car model
Okay. If there was an award for automotive podcast hosting, how many times did you nominate me?
I don't want to answer that. Skip.
Okay.
Next.
Rate your experience with EVs.
How'd I do?
2.5.
The obvious answer to the second question was a Mitsubishi Mirage. Obviously.
Oh my God. Good one.
If you've been following along, all right. Well, that's everybody. It's been lovely seeing Jen here for the last time. We really appreciate her coming.
1 in 10.
Talk to you can't be found by satellite. See?
There you go. Exactly, guys. Just remember, we are the Wheelhouse. We discuss all things automotive. If you're hungry for knowledge, just listen to this, and you'll be hungry again in an hour. But in the meantime, we will see you guys with a special episode on or just before Labor Day. And is it before Labor Day, or we're going to record it before Labor Day but drop it after Labor Day? One of those, but it'll be a special Labor Day edition. And then also, if you care to see this happen actually live, if you want to see just how dysfunctional a host can be, that will probably happen on one of the days at the ASOTU Con. So be excited for that. So thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for our esteemed panel of colleagues. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Patrick, I just need a lawnmower. When I get down there, I'll be glad to do the entire grass at the dealership. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next week on the Wheelhouse.